Good morning. This is Marco Hansen, and I'm here with Tony Beckwith. I've got a couple questions about his experience as a translator and an interpreter. I really appreciate you agreeing to this little interview, Tony, and thank you for your time. I wonder if you could tell us briefly how you got into translating and interpreting.
It came late in life, about 25 years ago. I came to one of those points in time where I wanted to do something for myself, and having been born bilingual, I speak Spanish and English. I had always been a sort of a default translator and interpreter, interpreting restaurant menus and phone calls and that kind of thing. And I wondered whether there might be something I could do like that in that field, that I could do on my own time, in my own home. And so I started exploring. I was living in Austin, Texas at that time, and I heard about the Austin Area Translators and Interpreters Association, the AATIA, and I attended a meeting and felt that I had found my people, felt that I had found my home. Because at that point I didn't know where to go, I didn't know what to do, I didn't know how to sort of get some traction in the field. I didn't even know what questions to ask. But when I got to the AATIA, I found a group of seasoned translators and interpreters, people who had been doing it for years. And they were so welcoming and helpful, supportive. It was just wonderful, and I couldn't wait for each meeting, and I'd show up and listen to all these people tell their stories and give advice and point the way and so on. And as I say, that was about 25 years ago, and I've never looked back. It's a wonderful organization.
Okay, thank you. That sort of gets into the second question I was going to ask about how the AATA has benefited you. I wonder if you could tell me, if I were to visit my first AATA meeting, what I might expect to see and experience there.
You'll see an eclectic group of people, a wide age group. There are people my age, and there are 20-year-olds just out of school. There's a wide range of diversity. Probably more women than men, but it's fairly balanced. And of course different ethnicities, different languages. So there's a good broad background. So whichever field you're looking into, you're more than likely to find somebody who can give you the benefit of their experience and hopefully guide you and help you as I was helped in my turn.
Okay, thank you. Now, translating and interpreting are kind of unusual jobs. A lot of people don't really know what goes into it or what the experience is like. So have you had any strange or exciting experiences as a translator and interpreter? Any funny stories that come to mind?
One of the things that I learned about interpreting quite early on is that you need a rare focus. You have to be able to focus on what's being said, and you have to pretty much clear your mind of everything else that's going on, because the mind has a sort of a spell check type thing of its own, and if you're not paying attention, it can suddenly slip into and say something different, something that you weren't intending to say. I remember an occasion when I was interpreting for somebody who was talking to a room of about 100 people, Spanish speakers, and I was interpreting into Spanish, and he was talking about a training camp that he had and that these people were involved in. And I had always used the Spanish expression campo de capacitación for training field or training camp. On this occasion, for some reason, my mind wandered, and I said campo de concentración, which means concentration camp. And of course the room just exploded in laughter. And the man I was interpreting for, he looked at me and said, "What just happened?" So I had to explain and apologize, and he was very nice about it. He said, "Well, you kind of broke the mood, so nothing lost." But that was one of those embarrassing moments. Another moment was when I was in Washington many years ago, interpreting at a function at a government reception, and a gentleman was going to address a crowd of volunteers who had helped out with the project, and most of the volunteers were Hispanic, and the gentleman was speaking in English, and I was standing beside him, and I was going to do consecutive interpretation. And this man started talking, and he kept talking and talking and talking, and I hadn't really prepared myself properly, I must admit, so I didn't have my notebook and pen out. So I had to fumble for that, which was not, I'm sure didn't look terribly professional. And I started hurriedly trying to make notes, and I was flustered by the whole experience. And he just kept talking. He obviously didn't know or didn't care how to work with an interpreter. So by the time he finished, he basically said everything he had to say, rather than giving it to me in bite-sized chunks, the way we like it. And so that was very awkward, and it taught me that any time we're going to do something like that, we must do everything possible to communicate with who we're going to be interpreting for, to try to get some ground rules, because people don't necessarily always have experience. They don't necessarily know how to work with an interpreter, and since the objective is for their message to be clearly transmitted, it's in their interest to understand how the system works. So that was one of those hard-learned lessons that I've never forgotten.
Okay, thank you. Now, a couple more questions have just occurred to me while you were speaking. I wonder if you could briefly define the difference between translation and interpretation.
Translation is written work. It's a document that you write in the other language. Interpretation is oral work, it's spoken work. It's when somebody is speaking and you interpret what they are saying for an audience who doesn't understand the source language. And you do that in various different forms, consecutive or simultaneously, or those are the two main ones.
Okay, thank you. That's all I've prepared. Do you have any other comments or stories that have come to mind that you think would be interesting to AATIA members?
I just think back to the AATIA. I think the translation and interpretation field is an expanding field. It gets bigger all the time because, in a sense, the world is getting bigger. Our world is getting bigger. Globalization has brought people together more than they ever have been, and electronics and the digital age have contributed to that. And so there's a lot to learn and there's a lot to keep up with. And unless you're plugged into an organization that is monitoring that kind of thing and keeping up with what's happening at a world level or even a national level in our own country, unless you have that connection, you're sort of working in the dark and you're kind of reinventing the wheel. These are organizations that are already working on that sort of thing. The AATIA here in Austin, for example, has very strong links to the ATA, the American Translators Association, which is the national organization with about 11,000 members. And so we learn a lot from them. They are learning from the world. So by being part of a local group like the AATIA, you have a direct link to a lot of things that are going on that would be hard to learn about otherwise.
Okay. Thank you. Now, you said you've worked both in translation and interpretation. If I were a bilingual person just curious about those two related career fields, how might I go about trying them out and figuring out which one's right for me?
Well, I think we have to know ourselves a little bit to start out with. To be a translator, for example, you have to be comfortable working alone and working for long, long hours where it's just you and your computer basically and your dictionaries, and there's not much feedback. There's no personal interaction. So not everybody is comfortable with that kind of situation. Other people like to be out and about dealing with people. To be an interpreter, obviously you have to be more of that kind of person. You have to be a people person. You have to be comfortable dealing with people you've never met before, and you have to be comfortable and confident that you will be able to handle situations that crop up spontaneously and unpredictably. And you have to learn techniques for handling yourself in public situations, and certain people are more comfortable with that kind of environment than others. So I think it starts with knowing yourself what sort of thing you'd like to do. Some people say, oh, I like interpreting because when I finish interpreting it's all over and I could just go home. Fair enough. Translation is different. You have time to work on projects. You have time to research words and expressions and ways of saying things. Sometimes when we're interpreting, things happen so fast. We say things and later on we think, I could have done better. I could have, there are different ways I could have said something. But it's all happening in the moment, so there isn't that kind of opportunity. Whereas in translation, you do have that opportunity. You can write something and come back to it later on and tinker with it. You can sometimes wake up in the night and think, I know a better way. I wish I'd said it that way. Tomorrow I will. In interpretation, you can't do that way. So they're both wonderful fields and great careers. But you have to find out which one is most suitable to your particular temperament and style.
All right. Thank you very much. This concludes our interview, and cut.